Good afternoon and welcome back to our next presentation with Aleksandar Dordevic, a Risk Analytics and Automation Senior Manager at KPMG, who will deliver a presentation unlocking the potential of digital transformation in AI. Before we get started, just a couple of reminders. Please do use the polls function to the right of your viewing panel to ask questions, and if you hadn't already done so, click the theater mode button under your viewing panel to watch in a full screen. Alex, now over to you.
Thank you, Martina. Hello, everyone. I hope you have had a good time so far in the previous sessions of Cybersecurity Live, and I hope that the session that we prepared for you on unlocking the potential of digital transformation and AI will also be insightful. I hope that you can see my screen now. Please let me know if that's not true. So again, my name is Alex. I lead the Risk Analytics and Automation team in KPMG UK, and I work with clients on actually building better risk management practices through the use of automation and analytics. Next to this, with my second hat, I actually lead KPMG's EMEA-wide automation program. So for all the member firms of the KPMG network across EMEA, which actually aims to drive digital transformation of how we do business and deliver value to our clients more effectively and more efficiently. So we will actually be, I will actually be sharing some insight on this one and some other use cases throughout the presentation. Outside of work, whenever I get a chance, I actually like to write about how we can use technology to rehumanize the future. I know that we like to think about the bad stuff, but actually there is quite a lot of things that can be done there when we put people first and use technology to enhance lives and the ways of working. So coming to today's session, in the next about 30 minutes, we will discuss a few interesting developments we see on the markets, learnings we have from helping clients navigate digital transformation with automation, how we do the things in KPMG, and specifically focus on actually how can we safely unlock the potential that comes with digital transformation with AI. I will be referring to a number of findings coming from several KPMG studies, all from 2021, so very recent ones. So if you are interested in learning more on any of the topics discussed here, or just stay in touch, you're welcome to look me up on LinkedIn. If you point your phone actually to the QR code on the screen, that should directly take you to my LinkedIn profile, so you can stay in touch. I would be more than happy to, again, get into any discussions or share materials, anything that you see here. Actually, we have published studies on those. So with this, we can jump into our most recent studies on digital transformation. You might have actually even heard about them in some of the previous sessions. We recently published our annual CEO Outlook report, which actually interviews CEOs of top organizations and helps us learn on the current state of mind and market. The last one was especially interesting as it provided direct insight into the pandemic-driven digital transformation businesses are going through. With a significant focus on digital agility, that is kind of what is the focus, the focus of our session now, CEOs have actually reported really focusing on flexible working and rethinking the future of work. This is significantly reflected in 73% of CEOs increasing or planning to increase the investment in technological disruption and innovation. We have a bit of a mindset shift here that we are no longer trying to just put out the fires that we had from the effects of the pandemic on the ways of working. We have now changed the perception of how we look forward on how to fortify our businesses and make them more resilient going forward. And the outlook also shows us that the same percentage of CEOs, 73%, are actually relying on partnerships to keep up with the pace of technological change and to continue the digital transformation. So I think there is an increasing awareness of having to actually work in a more connected way with partners, with vendors, to further your digital transformation agenda and to actually put it towards a strategic approach going forward to establish a long-term path for your organization. This shows us actually how this digital transformation has been galvanized by the pandemic and is taking central stage across organizations. It comes hand in hand with the cybersecurity concerns, the topic of today's event, and you will likely have been listening to in previous sessions. For this session, I will focus on the AI as part of driving that digital transformation and the opportunities and risks it brings with. Anyone interested in CEO Outlook, you can ping me and I'm happy to share or search on KPMG website. So if I can actually reflect on another study in 2021, which now brings us directly into the eye of AI as part of the digital transformation efforts. We conducted an annual study with 950 business and IT decision makers, and this was done in the US, where we interviewed them and wanted to see what is happening across the top organizations. And what we have seen there, there's some quite interesting findings that directly correlate to the CEO outlook and directly correlate to what the CEOs in the UK are telling us is happening. The pandemic has indeed increased not just digital transformation, but the use of AI within that transformation. 2, the speed of adoption is leaving experts worried about whether it might be moving too fast and missing out on reaping all the benefits it can unlock. 3, security and privacy and ethical concerns that are highlighted as top risks. And 4, especially in the light of regulation trailing behind the adoption curve, though the experts do remain optimistic that regulation can be done in a way to help and advance the adoption of AI, there is still work to be done as to how we can collaboratively help build trustworthiness of artificial intelligence. And I will show a few more interesting indicators from this study. We look at only a few findings, but again, this study is published. When looking across the 7 industries that were the scope of the study, we can see that, I think probably as expected, industrial manufacturing is definitely leading in the adoption of artificial intelligence. This graph is telling us how much has the pandemic influenced the adoption of AI. And it goes to the point mentioned in the CEO Outlook, that pandemic has indeed significantly affected digital transformations as businesses look to evolve their business and operational models towards digital agility in the long term, not just to mitigate the momentary effects of the pandemic. You can also see from the graph that actually we see different levels of influence to using AI across different industries. And in terms of the adoption, we also asked how much of the AI that you're using is actually functional and it's actually helping you. And when we asked them about this, we actually saw significant increases across some specific industries. In financial services, more than 37 percentage points of an increase in an answer of yes to the question of actually, are you seeing moderately or fully functional AI used in your organization? This is in a span of 1 year. And we see a likewise trend across other industries as well. But this really goes to show that the interest in using AI is getting stronger. It was galvanized by the pandemic and the need for digital transformation. but B, we are not only no longer talking about AI, we are actually employing it in the businesses. We are actually using it, and it is actually generating results for the organizations. And that is a really big change and a really big movement forward. But it also naturally brings us to the next question. Okay, so how do we use it? We see that the results are telling us high interest. We are driving the strategy based on it. We are making more and more, getting more and more value out of it. So what do we use it for? And this is where we then go to some of the actually top technologies, AI technologies that have had the greatest impact across industries. So led by machine learning, robotic process automation, and artificial or virtual reality, you can also see which industries have significantly higher share in the use of specific technologies. It comes, I would say, as no surprise that retail will, for example, be heavily invested in chatbots and intelligent agents, while healthcare is invested in biometrics. Yet next to this, I would actually highlight here anomaly detection and pattern recognition. We are actually seeing this as a growing area of interest, and we're getting more and more clients asking about this, as it helps find leakages, bottlenecks, fraud, compliance breaches, and optimization opportunities. We also use something like process mining with some advanced analytics to help identify those opportunities. So talking about the areas, the technologies, and the use cases for AI, we can also have a broader look outside the realm of this study, just to see where the growing demand is and where we are helping our clients and how we are doing this. So if I look at the leading use cases in organizations, I think that it will not come as probably as no surprise here what we have: customer experience. We mentioned chatbots. We have mentioned the use cases on fraud prevention, knowledge management, processing, unstructured data. We will have machine learning algorithms with natural language processing. Go and scan through thousands of records and maybe pocketed knowledge bases and put this all together. Research and development, we have heard developments where we are now using AI to accelerate vaccine research. These are some of the most recent use cases that are very prominent. Supply chain, human resources, operations and risk management, and sales and product development, where we can now use AI to identify the most optimal pricing, to identify the most optimal product design, to think about actually how we do, how we model the structure of a product to actually have most resilience and take it to the market. So these are some of the areas that we are kind of seeing a lot of activity. And next to this, we are actually seeing organizations getting more and more focused on the environmental, social, and governance landscapes. So healthcare, education, law enforcement, financial services, among others. Some of the key reasons as to why growth in AI adoption is so prominent on the market are actually the clear, I think, insight-focused benefits. That is the lower part of this slide. And when used responsibly and effectively, we can actually use AI to obtain a future-looking, unbiased insight to provide for a more informed decision-making. And our approach to using AI directly depends on the business reasons for it. And here is where I actually wanted to share an example internal to KPMG. At the beginning, I actually mentioned that I lead KPMG's EMEA-wide automation program. We have built over 400 bots on a self-service platform accessible to our teams across multiple countries, where we have automated use cases from controls testing to cybersecurity assessment to cloud reviews to internal audit. Having a library of that size and having it continuously grow, because we actually have multiple countries and thousands of people contributing to it, brings undoubtedly into question, actually, how can we sustainably drive adoption of these bots? It is not enough just to promote the platform. We actually have to get every individual bot in front of our team members so that they have it at the top of their mind when they can actually use it. So what we have done, so we built the ecosystem, more than 400 bots, and then we built a bot to help us manage those bots. So we actually developed a natural language processing solution, bot based on NLP, which scans engagement and task descriptions and looks into our library to suggest applicable bots. The results are provided in a matter of seconds, and we literally can do bulk analysis of several hundred tasks or processes at once and give recommendations for each one of them. So we can actually drive adoption of every individual bot in a very scalable solution. And in addition to making our teams more efficient with client delivery, we are actually able to provide greater and deeper insight depending on the nature of the bot. As we can now process actually more data at a fraction of time with each bot run and generate complete internal audit reports as an example here. All this actually helps us also unlock the true potential our subject matters and the true value add that our subject matters can bring to our clients, where we have them then focus on providing the added value on top of what the bot has generated as an output. And this is where we see our digital transformation going forward with the use of intelligent automation, with the use of artificial intelligence tools. For us, and I've now circled here, this means better customer experience, less room for error, better standardization of high quality output across projects, more effective use of our subject matter experts' time for the benefit of our clients, and it enables us to offer solutions and insight to our clients that we were not able to do before. And I'm actually circling here to what we said were the leading AI use cases in organizations, that with this platform alone, which is just one of our ecosystem of solutions that we are using to accelerate our own digital transformations, we can see that we are covering a good portion of the leading use cases here. To achieve this specific result and to fit our specific operating models, we actually, for our own sake, had to build a bespoke platform to enable us to risk manage the development and use of these bots and have a tight control on quality, compliance, data privacy requirements for each individual bot as well as the platform, so that we are certain how we manage clients' data, how we process it, and how happy are we that whatever we are coming out of the bot is in line with standards, with compliance and regulatory requirements. Different use cases allow for different approaches, as we mentioned earlier. So both in how to develop bots as well as how to use them. So actually, I want to share another example very quickly that is built on a premise of a citizen developer concept, or I think in maybe simpler terms, kind of an everyone a developer approach, where vendors are offering out-of-the-box AI solutions which can be put to use in a matter of days. This is just a screenshot from Microsoft's Power Apps and the AI Builder feature, which comes with pre-packed models for quick deployment. And this is just a screen grab to give you an idea where actually you can see that you have pre-built models that can help with invoice processing, with text recognition, with receipt processing, with sentiment analysis, and various other options. This is coming in a format of a low-code setup, so that it is much easier to adopt and use, and you can start with simple solutions in a matter of days if you have the platform set up. But the proliferation of these easy to use AI solutions and general adoption of AI goes hand in hand with the question of how do we manage risks that come from such solutions, especially quite a lot of risks relating to citizen development model. So if I come back to actually some of the results of our AI study mentioned before, we can see that the top risks in organizations are actually cybersecurity breaches, very high number one, 2 privacy violations, and 3 bias. And this race to unlock the potential in digital transformation continues to pick up pace. The risk management of AI is becoming a vital topic in any organization using or planning to use AI. So much so that we are actually seeing regulators getting more and more involved. Some of the most recent developments here was EU's proposal published earlier this year for regulation of AI, in which they aim to ensure that AI works for people and is a force for good in a society by being a forefront of trustworthy AI. In this actually proposed regulation, what is interesting is that they take a risk-based approach and outright ban a small portion of applications. For example, social scoring systems. Further, more depending risks to society, they put strict obligations on documentation, risk mitigation, human oversight, and may include assessment by a third party. The proposed regulation is, of course, still subject to change and might take years to get implemented. However, it is giving us a clear angle here to understand where, to which direction we are going. And key topics that are actually considered as part of this is almost number one is explainability, AI's precision and accuracy, appropriate use of consumer data and data privacy, discrimination and bias in decision making. And I think this is all in line with everything that we've heard from multiple studies so far. A few interesting reads here are on actually trends in artificial intelligence and changes in regulatory landscape that have been published by my colleagues recently. And this brings us actually to the road ahead and kind of a finale of our presentation today. If you're thinking how to unlock the AI value in 2021, we kind of see a happy path to achieving most value from AI investment. But what I would invite you to think is, A, do not start with technology, start with the right business problem. Establish a proper digital mindset across the enterprise. Create and manage value streams because you really want to see that return on investment happen. Get the data right. The infrastructure and data management is quite pivotal in the success of the AI. And think big, but start small and scale fast. So if you want to convince your organization, your teams to actually make benefits by creating more and more solutions, you really want to show them very quickly on how to approach, what the results can be and what the outputs can be. So whether the organization is in the midst of its digital transformation or just about to embark on one, I think applying this consideration can really help lift some of the barriers and deliver some tangible value. And on the flip coin of things, the road to actually a risk-managed adoption of AI, I've highlighted a couple of things here that you want to think about. But the idea of unlocking potential of digital transformation in AI is built on a premise of trust in technology. To do that, organizations must really ensure solutions are risk managed and sustainable. From a governance and operation model to an appropriate risk management framework and monitoring mechanisms. I really think it is important to keep in mind that AI does require an additional level of control and should not be considered as just another solution or system that you would apply controls normally seen on common software. So it is not like that. We have published an AI in control framework, which does bring to light some of the AI-specific risks that need to be taken into considerations. But key aspects do remain resilience, explainability, integrity, and fairness. And this brings the loop to a close, I think, where we actually see the same challenges permeating through all our recent studies. So if anything is to be taken away from today's session, I would say, in order to unlock the true potential of digital transformation and AI, focus on business problems that need resolving rather than technology itself. It will come as an answer. To partner to have a faster return on investment and increased likelihood of success while reducing some of the risk implications. 3, define a long-term strategic approach that will help set the scene for successful use of AI in your organization. And 4, instill risk management by design in AI solution lifecycle. Do not leave it as an afterthought. I think driving digital transformation is only fun when it's done sustainably. So a risk managed approach is actually going to help avoid and minimize the nasty surprises down the road. I hope that actually we managed to cover a lot of provide some insight into how we actually see that potential can be unlocked with the digital transformation in AI, and we'll be happy to take on any questions either now or after the session.
Thank you, Alex. It was a great presentation. Just a very quickly, one question. Are hackers using AI to get around security?
Yes, that is a great question. This is happening more and more often. I think that we are seeing this as part of ransomware attacks, as part of other web-based attacks, external attacks, and I think it's keeping our cyber teams quite busy in helping our clients. So yes.
Yeah, perfect. It's time to wrap up this session, but our live sessions are not over yet. We have an exclusive interview by Solarwinds due to start in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.